So, Friends Green Porsche are hiring. We're looking for another technician, and we of course want somebody that's passionate about the brand and preferably has already worked on Porsches before, but if not, has worked on other prestige cars before and believes that you can apply that skill and knowledge that you have on working on those cars onto working with the Porsches, and is capable of doing the minor tasks from the servicing and the brakes right up to the complicated jobs like the IMS bearings that you see us do so regularly. So if you think you'd be good for the position, please send a CV or an email into info@friendsgreenporsche.com, and hopefully we'll be in touch soon. We're also looking for another person to do the valeting and the detailing. So again, you don't actually need to have experience in doing this before. If you've got a good work ethic and you're willing to learn and you're passionate about cars and Porsches, please again get in touch. The email is info@friendsgreenporsche.com, and hopefully we'll hear from you soon. Morning. We had another car come in, and I'm quite excited about it because it's got some spec that we haven't had on the channel before. It's sat here to my right. What we'll do before I start blabbering on about it as usual is we'll try and do some professional YouTubing and switch into some cinematics. So most people can probably tell that it's another early car, pre-facelift. It's on a 1999, the first half of 1999. Now it's finished in a colour that's actually a pretty common colour on the pre-facelift 996s. It's called Ocean Blue. I think it suits these cars really well. But we haven't had one in this colour for a while, which is unusual because we've done a lot, generally speaking, in this colour. Anyway, let's have a quick look inside. Ooh, that's a bit of a close-up, sorry about that. We've got space grey interior. Now, as mentioned before, space grey was only available and made on the 1998 and the first half of 1999 cars. Then it switched over to the lighter graphite grey, which actually I don't like as much as this darker grey. Now, the interesting spec part. It's factory fitted with a limited slip differential, which is a rare option. Not many people tick that box. It just makes a more sporty and fun car to drive. It's also, like the Zenith car from a couple of videos ago, been fitted, not from the factory, but at a later date, like the Zenith car again actually, with the Sports MO30 suspension kit. So it's dropped at 10mm, and it's got stiffer dampers and stiffer anti-roll bars. And again, it was done later in the car's life, so it's all fresh. It's also, the keen-eyed of you will have noticed, been fitted with later wheels. So they're from the facelift car, the 5-spoke Carrera wheels, but I think they look well. Now, the previous owner to this car had it 10 years, and in that time, if you've seen it on the website already, because it's already up, spent £26,000 during those 10 years looking after it meticulously. So the car is immaculate, but for one problem. It's got a mechanical fault that we've not had in a while and not shown on the channel yet. So I'm going to jump in the car and try to demonstrate the noise that mechanical fault is making. So see you in there in a sec. So let's see if I can make this mechanical fault present itself to you and the camera during this drive. I don't hold that much hope because the noise that it makes isn't that prominent, but I'll do my best. Now, what is the mechanical fault? The mechanical fault is with the gearbox. Now, although it's going into all the gears absolutely perfectly as it should, there's no notchiness, there's no stiffness, the synchros are working, it's not popping out, nothing. The gearbox is operating just as it should. It's making this constant whining noise. I don't know if the camera's going to pick this up, I can hear it now already. It's echoing down the centre tunnel into the cabin. There you go, I can hear it now. And what that tends to be is the pinion bearings. Now, it doesn't matter whether I've got it in gear, if I've got it in neutral, if I've got my foot on the clutch, the whining's always there, but it's more prominent when the car's under load. So when I've got my foot down on the accelerator and I'm loading the car up, it gets more noisy. And the pitch of that whine goes up in frequency, up in tone, when the speed of the car increases. So there you go. I don't know if you can hear that. But yeah, it's a fault that, you know, it's not a common fault on these cars, but it's a fault that seems to arise on the pre-facelift cars. Now, I spoke a couple of videos ago about how the gearboxes between the pre-facelift and the facelift car are the same, and they are exactly the same in the way that they drive. The ratios are the same, the feel is the same, the throw is the same. They feel identical, but Porsche must have beefed up the facelift gearbox, because I've never had a facelift gearbox with this problem. But these pre-facelift cars, I'd say we probably had, I don't know, we've been trading 5 to 6 years. We've sold over 200 996s. And we've had 6 or 7, I'd say, of these pre-facelifts with this whining problem, and never had a facelift one with the whining problem. So either it's a huge coincidence, or they've beefed up the gearbox in the 3.6 litre car. I'd say the latter is the more likely. Let me be quiet for a second and see if you can hear this noise. Now I'm on a bigger road. Yeah, this is another thing to look out for if you're looking at one of these cars. When you're viewing the car and test driving it, if the owner's in the passenger seat, just ask them politely, can you shut up for a minute, put the windows up, turn the radio off, turn the blower off, and just have a good listen out for that whining noise. Because what we're going to have to do now, you're going to see, I'm going to bring it back to the showroom and the workshop. It's going to go in the air, Dan's going to take the gearbox out, and gearbox rebuilds are one thing we can't do in-house. So I'm going to drive that down to our gearbox specialist that we use, and the gearbox is going to be rebuilt. So yeah, you'll see it next, up in the air.
My dog's going to rape my cousin later.
I'm literally trying to film.
Seriously, it's true.
Okay, we've got the car in the air. As I said earlier, the gearbox was taken out. There's the whiny gearbox that I've got to take down to our gearbox specialist for them to open up and replace what I suspect will be the pinion bearing. There's the gap. Clutch and flywheel and IMS bearing haven't been taken off yet. The IMS bearing will be replaced, as we spoke about. Now, Dan hadn't been over the car yet. I had, when the customer brought it down for me to inspect it when we were doing the purchase. And he hasn't found anything else, but he insisted on doing bonnet dampers and engine lid dampers. And the only other thing that presented itself midway through doing this was when you're taking the gearbox out, he has to prop the engine up with the jack like this, and it basically stress tests the engine mounts, like on the Carrera for us in the last video. And as you can see there, when this engine mount was stress tested, it's poured all its fluid out basically. So that was on its last legs. It wouldn't have presented itself otherwise. It wasn't crashing, it wasn't particularly, they weren't particularly low, not that you can see that now because the engine's being propped up. But anyway, it's getting a new set of engine mounts. It's quite a nice little thing to do to these cars anyway, because as we spoke about in the last video, it just tightens up the rear end of the cars. So yeah, I think that's about all. I was just going to quickly speak about what a nice car it is. I mean, as we spoke about before, it's had £26,000 worth of maintenance carried out on it in the last guy's ownership, which was 10 years. And just look how nice and clean it is. Nothing shouts out as brand spanking new, like it's been done in the last year, but it's all been done during that guy's ownership. So for example, he's put the MO30 suspension setup on it, and just look how nice and clean it is. There's no corrosion. If we go over all four corners. Yes, I will talk about the studs. I'm just being reminded behind me about these studs. Now, usually these are kind of corroded, and Dan's like, yep, this is 100% been garaged, that guy's whole 10-year ownership, because they're in perfect condition. Isn't that right?
Yes.
So he likes this car. It has got brand spanking new Michelin Pilot Sports on it as well, and the wheels have just been refurbed by the chap too. So yeah, there we go. That car's going to be dead, sat where that one is for about a week or 10 days, or however long it takes the Gearbox people to get the gearbox back to us. Then we'll get the car back together and we'll get it out on the road. Good morning. We had another car come in, and apologies, it's not in the ilk that it was first delivered in, because it's actually already been to the body shop. We've had the bumper off, that's been down to the body shop and been resprayed. It had sort of minor hazing to the front and some stone chips. The wheels, although they don't look refurbed now because they're all covered in dirt, have been off to our wheel refurb place and have been done already. And the rear bumper's been done, as well as this reflector strip here being replaced. Again, I think he must have just touched something on reverse. Look, we've still got to put some new lights in the back there, that reminds me, number plate lights. I dare anyone to hazard a guess how much this reflector strip from Porsche cost. Anyway, let's go around the car and give it an inspection. Starting at the front of the car then. The air conditioning condensers are good. There's no wet patches, there's no damage. However, there is some leaves in the bottom corner there, which we'll of course need to clean out with the hoover. If you leave those leaves in there, they'll eventually get moist and rot the bottom corner of the condenser out, and it will start leaking. You'll have to replace them. Moving around here to the suspension. Now, that is a new top mount. There's a new upper bearing in there as well, but that is not a new bump stop. As you can see, it's perished and split. I could pull that apart with my fingers if I wanted to. Anyway, the owner of the car had taken this to a Porsche specialist to have this work carried out, and for some reason they didn't do the bump stops. And when I explained this to the owner, he actually got the Porsche specialist on the phone and made me speak to him. So I asked him, why haven't you done the bump stop? Now that's all going to have to come down again, that whole suspension leg, and all the labour be redone just because you haven't changed that cheap part. And his answer was, well, they didn't have the part in stock. So he's put it all back together, and now it's going to have to be done again. So yeah, we've got to do that to the car. That Porsche specialist also did, very recently, the clutch and the rear main oil seal, but they didn't do the IMS bearing. So that's another bit of labour we're going to have to redo. We're going to take the gearbox out and do the IMS bearing. I actually asked him on the phone, why haven't you done the IMS bearing at the same time? And he said because they don't believe these 3.6 litre engines have IMS failures. Obviously we disagree with that, but there we go. I won't name the company. Let's get the car in the air and have a look underneath. Okay, so what's it like underneath? Suspension legs look good. I'll give them a little bit of a protection with some wax oil. The arms are okay, drop link's good. That arm looks relatively recent. Drop link's good. Suspension leg again, good. This brake line has been done recently. There's no corrosion on that. Look at the aircon pipe. Good, good, good. Oh, lots of green dye. Okay, so that's that seal there again. I have to take that out and renew that seal and get it gassed up again. As is often the case, let's go to the back. Suspension legs look good. Again, bushes on the arms are okay. All rear brakes. Okay, we need some rear discs there. Let me try and get it to focus. It looks like the car's been sat for a while. They're rather corroded. They don't look too worn. There's not a massive lip on there, but look, it's just been sat for ages and the surface has all gone rusty. It's always on the back faces. The front faces can look okay, but always check the back faces, because that's the side that gets all the crap off the road. We've got a bit of a wet patch here near the rear main seal. That's only just been done as well. It's not good. But we're doing the IMS anyway, so we'll replace that rear main seal. Looks like we've got a bit of a weep coming from the sump plug as well. But of course, we'll be doing that too when we drop the oil. The exhaust back boxes, we already knew this, need a repair along the bottom seam. The front seams are okay. So they'll be taken off and repaired in-house. I saw people questioning where we get these done. Now they're done by Dan in-house, So I'll show the finished article when they're finished. Right, morning. Quick bit of commentary to let you know what I'm doing. I'm about to set off. We're going down to the gearbox place. The gearbox is done. And I'm going to ask the guys there if I can do a quick bit of film and ask him on camera if he can explain what was wrong with the gearbox, why it was making the noise, and what they've done to remedy it. I probably won't ram the camera in their face, so you have to put up with my ugly face. But yeah, see you down there in a sec. Right, go on, you explain what was wrong with it.
On that input shaft there,
Yeah.
it has a support bearing now and a support bearing at the back. On the counter shaft, it again has a support bearing at the back and one at the front that runs the diff.
Yep.
The one at the front they call the pinion bearing. Now, they are the common one to fail, but the other 4 bearings have done the same mileage.
Okay.
So, as a course of practice from an engineer, they've all done the same mileage.
Changed a lot.
You have to strip the whole gearbox down to get to that bearing, so you change the 4. The 4 are designed as the weak link, so they wear out and you replace them before you ignore it and smash the gears.
That saves your gears.
And that's what saves
That's a
the
cheaper
gearbox.
fix.
That's the only
And that's
way.
why you hear that whining, and that's why it does it, regardless to whether the clutch is pressed or it's in neutral.
Because as soon as the car is rolling, the pinion is moving.
Yeah,
Whether you're
it's
in
spinning.
gear, in driving, on the overrun, it will just rotate and you hear that rumble.
It does get louder under load though when you put your foot on the
It will,
throttle.
because as you accelerate, the torque from the engine is pushing this shaft against there, and where the bearing's worn, it's pushing
under
the
more
shaft
strain, isn't it?
across. When you back off, it reduces, but it doesn't silence.
Yeah. So when you took those bearings out, what, the ball bearings and them were just getting worn and knackered and
They certainly
weren't
are.
spinning very nicely.
What I'll do, in the bin, I've got some old bearings. I'll show you the one that come out and it'll make sense.
Yeah, show me.
Okay.
And on the 4, you did extra bits as well, didn't you?
Yeah. On the 4, had that gone as well. But the planet gears, because this is an open spool and the 2-wheel drive is a limited slip, on the 4, the planet gears were worn, so I've had to put planet gears in it.
Okay.
There you go.
Cool.
Desk, and then when people come in, you can show them.
So this is the pinion bearing.
Yeah.
That's in the middle of the gearbox there,
Yeah.
on the main shaft, right?
Yeah, and that's all part of
They
it.
sit on there both sides. That's it
Yeah,
out
and
to
that's it,
housing.
and that encases it.
That wears the bearing, the ball bearings roll around that, and that's what makes
Yeah,
that noise.
and that there, when that goes on there, and that goes on there, that encapsulates that, and that encapsulates that. When
Pushes
they
it
are
onto
squeezed
that, doesn't it?
together,
Yeah.
that middle is preloaded. Now you can see the wear. See, that's got lift on it.
Yeah, you can
That
see
should
it.
have 0 lift. And what happens is, that's why, as soon as that rotates,
You can
You've
hear it
got that
straight away,
noise.
yeah.
there you go. And you've got 4 bearings in the box. That's one of them.
Okay. Very interesting. I should have to pay for this class, really, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Well, I'm about to pay for it. Right, I'll get my wallet out. Can you turn that off? Because I'll get demonetised. Right, let me take it. So we've got the ocean blue car back on the ramp. I picked up the gearbox this morning. I'm just trying to take the film. So we've got the ocean blue car back on the ramp, got the gearbox there, it's had new bearings, ready to go back in. The car's been sat dead for about, feels like forever, what is it, 2 weeks? So what are we doing? Putting the gearbox back in, IMS bearings going in, engine mounts are being renewed, bonnet struts, engine damper, and a service. That's it with this car, isn't it? And then away we go. Cool. Go on then, do the... Oh, I forgot that. Huh? Look what I've come bearing. So the ocean blue car's all finished. It's been a late day today. It's 8:30 on a Friday evening, and I'm of course still down here. The car's done. That's the main thing. Let's run through the work. So the gearbox. The gearbox went off to North London to have its bearings replaced. The work that was required. As you heard, he spoke through and explained why it was making the noises it was. Now, I know from the symptoms of a car that it is those bearings, but I didn't understand why exactly those bearings being worn created the noise that they do. So it was interesting to learn it from him. I learned something today. In fact, we've got the suspect bearing down here. He gave it to me to kind of show to people in the future. So there we go. The IMS bearing. Now, when Dan took the cover off to replace the IMS bearing, he actually discovered that it had an upgraded bearing already. So yeah, we didn't have to do the bearing in the end. So that was a nice find. It was actually an unexpected find because the car has got an enormous amount of paperwork with it, dating right back through the years, including obviously that 26 grand's worth of work and that last owner's 10 years of ownership. But yeah, nothing with an IMS bearing. So yeah, we didn't expect to find that. But that's been left. Bonnet lid dampers and engine lid dampers, they've both been done. We've got nice, strong, powerful dampers there. The engine mounts have been done. I was going to show this actually. So here are the old engine mounts. There's the one that's split under pressure when the engine was being propped up and the IMS bearing done. But yeah, if you can see, look, I can move that pretty easily there. That should be a lot more torqued than that. So the back end of that car should be a lot stiffer now. It's a nice upgrade to do. As I mentioned before, we're going to put upgrades like that on the website. So you can either bring your car down to have it done, or with the purchase of a car, you can have it done for a set price. So that's going to go on the website shortly. So that's it. That was all that was done to that car, and of course the minor service. So yeah, there we go. We've got a viewing lined up in the morning. I'll give it a wipe down first thing, and yeah, I imagine it'll probably sell. Just actually, people always ask how much the cars are up for, even though they're on the website. This is up for £17,996. Pounds sterling, of course, for the overseas viewers. So yeah, I'm going to pack up now and call it a day. It's Saturday morning, and there's no valeter in on a Saturday morning. So I've had the elbow grease out, and I don't think I've forgotten how to make a car look nice and shiny. So yeah, just waiting for the viewing now. We'll see if it sells. Let's have a quick spin round it, because it does look lovely. Sun's just coming out, which is good, because it does, ocean blue does really pop in the sun. So yeah, we'll see if it sells. And I won't lie, if it doesn't sell, I will say no, the viewer hasn't bought it. What do people think of our new decals in the rear quarter windows, by the way? I think they look really good. I want to start putting a few more little Friends Green Porsche signature marks on the cars. If anyone's got any ideas how we can do that, then let me know. We have got some clothing made now as well. Might be able to see it in the reflection. Right, it's Sunday afternoon. I've got the black C4S behind me on the ramp, and the work's all done. The car's ready to go. Got somebody coming to have a look at it as soon as I finish this video. They're going to be here any second, actually, so I better get on with it. So yeah, let's have a look round and show you the work that's been completed. So firstly, that company decided not to do the bump stops when they were doing the top mounts, because the part wasn't in stock. There we go, nice and new. So again, that, like I said before, that whole labour-intensive job of dropping that whole suspension leg on both sides had to be redone just to replace that kind of £15 bump stop. There we go, that's been completed now. Let's get the car, actually look, here we go. New discs and pads on the back. Lovely, lovely. Let's get the car in the air. Right, if we start at the board, so I don't forget anything. IMS bearing, we'll start with that. So the clutch and rear main seal had already recently been done by that same Porsche specialist, and they decided not to do the IMS bearing, as we spoke about before. So here's the old bearing, if I can get it out. The kind of puny, skinny one that you find in the later model cars. So that's been done. Apologies I didn't get any of this work kind of midway through being done, but we had an absolutely manic week, and I wasn't in the showroom and workshop that much to get the film done while Dan was doing the work. Anyway, back boxes. Now, we said before we were going to repair these. However, when they got taken off, it wasn't just the bottom seams that were in a bad way. They were bad up the front and a little bit over the top. So we decided, you know what, it's not worth saving those. So we put these aftermarket Design Tech Sports stainless steel back boxes on. They sound really, really good actually. They're not droney, just a nice sporty sound under throttle. New fitting kit on as well, so you've got new clamps there. New bolts through here too. And we changed the gaskets on the flanges here that connect the manifolds to the catalytic converters here, both sides. So that's been done. Where should we go next? Had a minor service. So oil filter, air filter, pollen filter. Air conditioning pipe. This has been off, cleaned up, that union taken apart and new seals put in there, and the system given a regas. What else have we got? The power steering pipe ferrule has been done. There we go, you can see that. Offside rear tyre was low. That's been replaced for a matching Continental Conti Sport Contact 2 N-rated tyre. Oh God, the list is quite big on this one. What else have we got? Right, the rear brake light strip. I'll put the car down and show you that. The battery died while I was taking that film. So I've brought the car outside, ready for the customer that's going to be here any minute to see the car. But yeah, what I was saying was this brake light strip along the back here is made up of different bulbs. I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in there. So what I did, rather than repairing that, I bought a used unit, just from eBay actually. I think it was about £30. So that's gone in with a reverse light bulb out. So that's obviously been done. The car's already gone for its MOT and sailed through with no advisories. So yeah, it's an absolutely gorgeous looking thing. We'll see if this viewing leads to a sale. What I'll do actually, I'll just show you what that exhaust sounds like. Oh, we put a brand new set of floor mats in this car as well. This floor mat is a little bit worn, so brand new floor mat. Good tip with these, rather than buying a full set of mats, which is about 180 or 200 pounds, just ask for a Boxster set of mats, because then you just get the front two, and I think it's about half the price. It's about 100, because obviously the rear mats are usually absolutely fine. Yeah, those back boxes sound really good. So there we go. I'll let you know if it sells. Right, it's the end of another very hot day, Tuesday afternoon today. Well, I say afternoon, it's about 6 o'clock in the evening. Give you an update with both cars. So, the viewer of the ocean blue car left a deposit on the car, subject to an independent inspection. As you saw from the couple of clips just now, they're called Porsche inspections. They come out quite regularly actually for customers and just do an independent inspection. The car was very, very good on their report, and the customers bought it. So we'll see that going out soon. The black C4S, exactly the same thing. The customer came out, loved the car, put a deposit down, but wanted his mechanic, who's his friend, to come have a look at it. So they came down for a second time. He'd look over the car. He was very happy with the car as well. And that one's being picked up this evening. So I'm just out here now, waiting for that to go. And then we'll see the ocean blue one go Saturday, that's going. So yeah, happy days. See you later. See ya. Cheers. Well, there we are then. That's 2 cars brought in, fully prepped, independently inspected and sold all within the video. It's kind of gone to plan for once. Job well done. Quickly on the 2 buyers. So the first guy who bought the C4S, he had a Porsche about 10 years ago and his wife fell pregnant shortly after buying it, so he had to sell it pretty quickly and always wanted to get another one. So 10 years later, he's back in Porsche ownership, and I see he's already putting pictures on social media and whatnot and tagging Friends Green Porsche, so that's really good to see. The second buyer, Toby, who's just left now, he's a Porsche enthusiast. He's got a 993 already, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing a picture of the 2 together. I think he's got plans for quite a few mods for the car as well, so yeah, it'll be good to see that. Right, we've got some more viewings now. We've sold a lot of cars this week. 6 have gone out this week, so we're a bit bare. So if anyone's looking to sell their 911, 996, 997, let us know. info@friendsgreenporsche.com. Yeah, I'm going to end the video here. See you next time.